pleasure, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, thank you for coming. It's honestly great to have you on set here. I know we met each other through my brother. A little bit of a weird way to meet, huh? Just being neighbors.
Yeah.
But I know a little bit about your past, right? A little bit of former U.S. Navy SEAL, business consultant, right? You do a little bit of. I heard you did a little bit of franchise mentoring, things of that nature.
Yep.
You owned the gym as well.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you were a police officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of did everything, huh?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a path, yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, I would love to crack into kind of all of that if you're down for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your guys, your family, your brother and everybody and all that you guys have been able to accomplish in really a relatively short time, family and everything sticking together. I love all that. So I was glad to come and spend a little bit of time talk with you and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's two great minds think alike and to get together, man, it's powerful,
Yeah.
And then the other day I came over, saw the chickens, dude. That was awesome. You have the most amazing, beautiful chickens ever. My wife was blown away. She's like, "Wow, my chickens don't look that good," They're the color on them and just how healthy they were, how happy they were.
And that's my wife's full-time gig now.
That was awesome.
The garden and the chickens.
Well, what were you doing as far as the irrigation? Were you doing something digging wise?
Yeah, we've got our house was built brand new, and the contractor did not mark. We're septic and sewer out where we are, and septic, sewer, and well water is what I kind of meant to say. So the contractor did not mark the septic tank, so we had to go through a process of finding that and then digging that out to a certain degree, and then
I guess that's a common issue because I had the same exact thing in my land. I have about 8 acres, about 20 minutes away from you guys, and that's the same exact thing. I built this 30 by 50 garage thinking that's as big as I can go because I had the septic behind me. Built the garage, had it all platted out, everything, got the approval, they built it, finalized it all. Get down to it, I had a septic issue. They go look for it. They poke right behind my garage where I thought it was gonna be. Nope, not there. So I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Go digging a little bit farther back.
Yeah.
Nope, not there. What the heck?
Yeah.
Complete opposite side of the house. I'm like, man, I could have went with a bigger garage.
Yeah. Well, for those that have trouble finding their septic, if they don't know exactly where it is, the best thing to do is to go up under the house if there's a crawl space and look where that sewer line's going, that main line. Then you can go straight out from there and pretty much nail it. So,
well, you guys on crawl spaces have it easy because us slabs, we got it rough.
Yeah, if it's a slab, that's a whole different story. But yeah, look for the clean out, I guess. Yeah,
that is fair. So, where'd you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your childhood. You grew up in California, or?
I did. So I was born in Las Vegas. Lived there to the ripe age of about 5, I guess. My dad one day looked at us sweating in the summer heat as little kids, cheeks all red and everything, and he's like, "Man, we're gonna get out of here. We're going somewhere else." So we went to Lake Tahoe, California.
Okay.
My dad built the house. We bought a little house with some land. My dad built that house. Him and one other guy built that house up, ground up, and then we moved into that house and then kept the other one up front as kind of a rental, and so that was my introduction into real estate, because don't get me started on real estate, man. I won't stop talking. But lived there for a while, and then business slowed down a little bit. It was back a little ways, and so my dad ended up popping down. He was driving kind of back and forth to Sacramento. We ended up moving down there. Spent some time there. I did a little bit. Let's see, what was it? And I was still pretty young. Elementary school age, 5th, 6th grade, something like that. And then my dad decided to sell the house, made a bunch of money off of that, and we ended up picking up and going to Greece for a long term, like an extended vacation, if you will. I think we were gone for like 6 months ish. Nice. And so we got to travel to Greece, and I saw where my dad grew up because he was from the old country. I'm first born in the States. My dad was from the old country, and and got to see where he grew up. Spent a lot of time going to the different islands and meet some family I'd never seen before. I never even knew was there. And so when we drove across the United States, flew from Boston, met some friends of his because that's where he grew up, was Boston area. We ended up deciding to, when we came back from Greece, we decided to move to, initially it was Tennessee. There was a business thing there. My dad knew a guy. He owned some land. They were going to subdivide and they were going to build some houses and do some stuff there. Didn't work out. We were there for about 5 months, and then my dad ended up taking us to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And so that's where I did most of my growing up, was Charlotte. So I went to they called it junior high back then, but now it's middle school, right?
Yeah.
Junior high and high school in Charlotte, North Carolina. Did about a year of college at Central Piedmont Community College, and realized I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. And so I decided to, I was fighting full contact kickboxing and doing some stuff as a kid. And
Yeah,
and
nice.
And
So you always been into combat sports? Is that
Yeah, martial arts.
Who got you into that? Was there a mentor?
My dad, from the time that we were in Lake Tahoe. So I was,
Did he fight in
stuff.
Greece or no?
No, just try to get us into all different things,
for sure.
Soccer and martial arts and all that stuff. I gravitated toward the striking arts and karate, taekwondo, boxing, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I didn't know what I wanted to do college-wise, and so after a year I was like, man, I got to figure something out. So I ended up joining the Navy with the sole intent of becoming a U.S. Navy SEAL. And
that was the goal.
That was the goal.
Was there a movie? Was there somebody that persuaded you?
Funny enough that when I did join...
What year did you go in?
1990.
1990.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I actually did a delayed entry program for about, like 8 months, and then finally ended up leaving in, I think it was October of 90.
And how many years did you serve?
11 years total.
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
As a SEAL?
Like eight of those as a SEAL and 3 in the...
Holy cow.
Yeah, so
okay.
The first 3 years I wasn't in the SEAL teams. I was actually a surface search and rescue swimmer. I rescued people that might fall overboard or whatever for the first few years. They knew I wanted to be in the SEAL teams because what happened was as a young man, I had gotten arrested and had a little bit of a criminal record there. Nothing too major, but it kept me from going directly to getting orders to go directly to the SEAL training. Mm-hmm. So they said, the recruiter's like, just go in as an undesignated fireman and you'll just volunteer once you get, to boot camp, you'll be fine. No. Once I got there, they said, no, you're going to have to go to the fleet first and earn, build a reputation more or less, and then you can put a package in to go. And I was heartbroken because my whole purpose of going in was to be in the SEAL teams. So I got
to kind of earn your way in.
Yeah, so I ended up getting orders to go to a frigate in Hawaii, and they were like, what do you want to do? You're an undesignated fireman. I was like, well, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And so they were like, well, that's not happening yet. But we do have a surface search and rescue swimmer billet that needs to be filled. Would you be interested in going that? I was like, sign me up, let's go. And so got honor man out of that and came back and deployed during the war in 90.
Which war was that?
That was the Gulf War.
Okay.
And we went over there, and the highlight of that for me was just checking dead bodies for signs of life that were floating in the ocean.
How long were you there?
All that stuff. It was a 6-month deployment.
6 months.
Yeah.
How was that?
So, it sucked.
Yeah.
Like any military deployment, typically, especially during those times and everything. But it was okay. PTSD stuff and all that stuff comes into play, but
right.
you try to give it to God and
definitely
move forward and keep things in right perspective and
Welcome to the Godspeed Auto Group Learning Center, the place where we teach you how vehicles really run and how to spot problems before they turn into expensive repairs. Whether you're a beginner, a car owner who wants to understand what's happening under the hood, or someone interested in learning the trade, our goal is to break everything down in a simple, easy-to-follow way. From engines and brakes to suspension, electrical systems, and diagnostics, we show you how each part works, what signs to look for when something is wrong, and how to properly identify vehicle issues. Follow us for tips, lessons, and real shop knowledge, because at Godspeed, we don't just fix cars, we teach you how they work. Check us out at GodspeedAutoGroup.com.
Perspective
Is there anybody from that mission that kind of stuck out, like an individual?
Man, I had a lot of good friends that were very supportive, knowing that I didn't really want to be where I was in the because I was down in the engine room doing 6-hour watches underway, all that stuff. But they took care of me well, man. I got to tell you. I mean, they did get me orders to go to a SEAL training inside of a man. It was shortly after that, while I was on deployment, I actually got orders. So as soon as we got back, I was able to go to SEAL training. So I didn't have to. They usually require you to stay 2 years, right?
So you were not a SEAL when you were in the Gulf,
Right. No, at that point, yeah, I had not gone to SEAL training. Just a surface search and rescue swimmer and I later took a test to get my machinist mate rating.
Okay.
So it was old reminiscing taking place right now. So
Sure.
Flashbacks. if I start twitching.
No, you're good, man. I love this.
But I ended up coming back, getting orders, taken off to go to BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training.
Yeah.
That was with Class 182, and then I ended up getting a heat stroke on the first day of first phase after class up. And it freaking rocked my world, dude.
Yeah.
I was not the same. I couldn't. I was passing swims, believe it or not. I was always a strong swimmer, but man, my runs, my body would overheat and I couldn't get back. So that I got dropped from training the first time I went to BUD. So I ended up going back out to the fleet.
Did you get to stay with the same class, even though you got dropped? Or?
No. So I got booted, man.
Okay.
I was done. My body. I had a heat stroke. And my body was done. I kept trying to push myself through because I was on a mission, right? To very, very focused. All my martial arts training came into play, headstrong, all that good stuff. I wouldn't quit, but they ended up having to drop me from training because I wasn't able to meet the times on the runs and all that stuff. So anyway, make a long story short, I got dropped from training, went back out to the fleet. I was on a boat on a ship, Navy ship, in San Diego, and met a lot of great friends there. Some of them actually went to BUDS and planned to go back and all that stuff, and yada yada yada. We ended up training together and all that stuff, and then I got my poop in a group, got my my health back, and wild personal experience as far as health goes and just being able to stay hydrated and knowing your body well. And I was 19 years old, dude,
Wow.
At that time. I didn't know a lot about heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and all of what took place there, too much alcohol, this, that, whatever. And so I learned a lot about my body and ultimately ended up going back about a year and a half later. Again, got orders pretty quick to get back, and I graduated honor man of class 195.
Awesome.
So then got orders to go to SEAL Team 1, which is where a lot of guys had kind of stayed on the West Coast that I knew, and they were like, man, put in for 1. And so I went to SEAL Team 1. Love the West Coast, so I stayed on the West Coast, and at that time I had intentions of never leaving San Diego again, kind of thing.
How was the SEAL team when you first got on it? Was it intimidating? Was it?
It was awesome. The best job. I would have stayed in the SEAL teams for 20, 30 years, no questions asked, if I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
You know, I had kids, and that kind of rocked my world in a different kind of way. And now I had, you know, more to worry about than just myself, right? And so I got into the SEAL teams, did let's see, I did 2 SEAL deployments at SEAL Team 1, and then I went to Group 1 as a sniper instructor. I had gone through sniper training, and then I went back as a sniper instructor kind of right before I decided to get out for my kids.
What year did you get out?
Active duty, I got out in '98, and then I got out of the active reserves in 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So was it before the World Trade Center?
Literally, it was 5 weeks before
Wow.
the World Trade Center.
How did that make you feel? Like,
Man,
you wanted to jump back in?
I was so torn up, man. Yeah, it was like being on a football team, NFL, and having trained to go to the Super Bowl, and then deciding that, you know, being a football player wasn't, you know, everything in the world, because there's other things out there, including your kids, right, that are looking at you like, Dad, and you're going, who are these guys, right?
Right.
And then now that team's going to the Super Bowl kind of thing, and it's like, ugh, like, I need to go back. I need to get in there. It's the camaraderie is what ends up being the strongest pull. You know, the team mentality.
Definitely.
You know, the boys, right? And so that was huge. Cost me my first marriage, the one I had the 2 boys with, and so that was challenging in and of itself. So, you know, also my dad had just passed away, so it was like a 1, 2, 3 punch, all in a very short period of time.
Sure.
Less than 12 months.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
A lot of sacrifice.
Yep, a lot going on there, and then.
What year did your dad pass?
98.
98.
Yeah.
So right as you were getting out.
Yeah, just before. It was kind of the deciding factor, because here I am, like, you know, having just separated from my ex-wife,
Mm-hmm.
and living in my own apartment, being a single dad, and also trying to travel and do what I do in teams, and being a sniper instructor at that time, and then your dad dies, right? And then your kids, and I mean, like,
Right.
you know,
it was
a lot going on. And then, you know, I'm faced with the decision of, do I stay in, re-enlist for, you know, another go, or do I get out? And I was like, man, I think I'm gonna try getting out and doing something different. So, you know, what do team guys do? They either do law enforcement, or they do mercenary work or contract work, right? And I was like, well, the mercenary thing ain't gonna work too well. Traveling and doing the contractor stuff. So I did law enforcement. I was a cop in Chula Vista for a little while. I got picked up to go with Chula Vista PD there in San Diego County.
Did you put bids out for other departments? Or?
Yeah, I had applied to a few different ones, and Chula Vista was just really, I mean, it was like, you know.
How is Chula Vista? Because I know some parts of California is rough, some parts are super nice, you know. So how is Chula Vista compared?
Yeah, it's the second largest city in San Diego County, next to San Diego, right?
Yep.
And it is very close to the border of Mexico, and so it's got west side Chula Vista is a little rough around the edges, and then you've got East Chula Vista, which has grown significantly over the last 20 years, which is, you know, a little nicer. All of which, you know, has its ramifications of being close to the border. You know, a lot of drug smuggling, a lot of stolen vehicles, a lot of that kind of stuff. So that job had its, you know, ups and downs, but it didn't mix well with me. I would have never got, to be perfectly candid, you know, and man, I'll be honest with you. First and foremost, law enforcement, or especially like beat cops and police officers, they are the most underappreciated job
Definitely.
ever.
100%.
I mean, it's you know, you're the most hated, but also the most wanted and needed, you know, in certain times. So
it's a weird position to be in.
It really is, you know. And anyway, it was a job again I could have done for 20, 30 years if I needed to. But I'll be honest with you, I would have never got out of the SEAL teams to be a cop.
Okay.
If it wasn't for my kids, right? But the cop job, I mean, after making a couple high-profile arrests with stolen vehicles and some drugs and some this and that, you know, I went and testified against, you know, one of the guys I had arrested, and you know, I was getting some pretty incredibly awkward stares from people in you know, in the audience, and from that, you know, from those times, I couldn't drive the same way home every night. If you kind of follow me and everything. So, you know, I was like, man, you know, I had more downtime in the teams than I did really here, because here I got to watch my back everywhere I go kind of thing. And so I did the cop job for about 3 years.
Okay.
And I ended up resigning after starting my own business, investing in real estate. So I started my own business in 2001, and by 2003, I resigned the cop job to run my business full time. So, you know, I started investing in real estate, and accidentally did pretty well. By 2000,
what do you mean by accidentally?
By 2003, I had made more money in about a 60-day period than I did all year working as a cop.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, there's something to this real estate stuff, right? And, you know, there was a process before I was able to do that, because you had to learn, you know, I mean, talking to a former Navy SEAL turned police officer, you know, I didn't know a whole lot. So there was an education process. I had invested in learning some stuff. I took pretty much all the money I had in savings to attend some, you know, seminars, one of which kind of turned me into a profitable business machine, if you will, and that was to learn how to do wholesaling real estate, getting it under contract and flipping it to either a contractor or investor that would actually buy that deal from me. I wouldn't really do it. And, you know, Todd Dotson was the one that was actually fulfilling that training at the time for the organization back then, when it was Russ Whitney, the Russ Whitney organization. So learned about wholesaling, ended up doing a couple successful deals, ended up doing my first rehab, and then that was when I kind of had started taking the business to another level, resigned the cop job and started doing that full time. And, you know, accidentally did really well. That was back, you know, from 2001, 2, 3. From 2003 to like 2007, we were doing really well with single family home renovation and all that stuff, to the point where I was trying to keep up with what to do with the money. And we started looking at doing a couple of condo conversions. Apartments into condo units, 2 of which we did very successfully. One I learned a lot on, and then I was like, you know, screw the rehab stuff, we're doing brand new stuff. And so I ended up partnering up with a contractor, another investor, and we went out to Arizona and we started doing some things out in the Phoenix and Bullhead City, Arizona area, and had some successful projects there as well. And then, of course, we all know that, you know, 2007, 2008 kind of took place, and learned some lessons there. Didn't get hurt as bad as some people did, but getting into the development side of things, we did lose a lot of money there. So, you know, if you ain't making money, you better be learning a lot. And I learned a lot during that time. But we were able to quickly diversify, and I ended up opening up a fitness and MMA gym in the East Lake area of Chula Vista, San Diego County, and we grew that thing up and ran that business for 13 years before we decided to pull on some partners and sell.
Wow.
That was in 2020.
How many trainers did you have?
Trainers were independent contractors for us, and we probably, at the height of it, probably had about 12 trainers.
Wow. Was it all different types of combat? Was it like jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Muay Thai?
So boxing. I had a boxing instructor. I had a Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu. And
Okay.
so we had the schedule kind of wrapped around like that to be able to do all three. And then we had MMA classes to be able to kind of mix it all up and
Nice.
all that stuff. So best part about it was I was able to train myself and be a member of my own gym kind of thing. And I taught some of the classes, kept me in the game, kept me in shape, and that was a lot of fun. The relationships built. I loved that business because being in the gym all the time, you build relationships, and it reminds me of that team mentality that back in the SEAL teams, because I had missed that for a long time.
Absolutely. So I know we kind of jumped past the SEAL teams, but I kind of want to get back into that. I love it.
Yeah.
I hope you're okay with it. But I see.
If I start twitching and
No, it's good. Just don't attack me. So I know you did your deployment out to the Gulf, right? Did the Gulf War. What was your next mission?
Well, so what happens in the SEAL teams, or at least when I was in, it's a little different now, but kind of the same. But they function as a whole team. Back then, the team functioned in platoon deployments, and they cycled through usually 2 platoons per cycle, kind of thing. So when I got to SEAL Team 1, they got me into a platoon. I did an Echo platoon, and Echo and Foxtrot platoon were kind of sister platoons. So we would do our workups, and so that's really 12 months of training, and then a 6-month deployment. 12 to 18 months of training, because there's a 6-month window there where kind of everybody kind of starts getting up and running. And then, so let's call it 18 months of training, and then a 6-month deployment.
Yeah.
And so that workup that you're doing, you're going in, you're doing, close quarter combat, you're doing diving, explosives, a lot of shooting. I was able to go to sniper school in my right after my first platoon, and so there's another level of training that goes along with being a sniper in the platoon, and so then you work up to be able to go on like a 6-month deployment when you're gone for 6 months, and so it kept me busy.
My name is Travis Stevens, and I am the store manager at the Meineke on Betty's Ford Road. I've been with Godspeed about 4 years now, actually. I think almost to the day it's 4 years. I've been in automotive for about 13 years, and this is my 3rd group that I've been with over the course of that time. It's been a journey. I've kind of learned the hard way about where I like to work, the environment I like to be in. So far, I love the Godspeed group just because the leadership is super important. Anywhere you go, people point fingers and tell you, how to do your job. But this is the first place I've been where they actually show you how to do it. And they lead by example, which is something that's incredibly important to me, because my favorite part of my job is developing the people below me to making them better at their jobs.
So your next deployment that you have, how many deployments did you go on?
Two deployments with SEAL Team 1.
With SEAL Team 1?
Yep.
Okay.
And then I went to sniper school as an instructor.
Okay.
Kind of before.
Where was your first deployment with SEAL Team 1?
So we deployed to Guam, and then we would forward deploy to do FID, Foreign Internal Defense. And so we would deploy to Guam, and that was kind of our home base. And then we would do short little trips over to Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, places like that. And then we would train with their special forces on different things, explosives, diving, different stuff, so that because they're friendlies, right? So we would help foreign internal defense. We would help train up the foreign allies. Going over to Thailand and working with their equivalent to their Thai Navy SEALs, or to Philippines and work with their equivalent, right? It made for a good deployment, a lot of fun, a lot of learning experience, and a little bit of drinking.
A little bit of drinking in Guam.
Yeah.
But Guam was overall not too bad of an experience.
No, well, I mean, it's kind of if you've ever been to Hawaii, they talk about island fever. Guam would be like times 10 as far as the island fever, because there's not like a lot of attraction to it. Beautiful island, love Guam. Spent a lot of time there, swimming, doing diving, and all that stuff, but not a lot to do there. You kind of wear out the same routine really quick. So those little short deployments out to Thailand and Philippines and those other foreign actions, if you will, were very welcomed to do it. So that was the equivalent of what we did during non-wartime or peacetime, stuff. So we would just go and do the FID stuff, because we weren't at war at that point. So I think the Gulf War ended in the beginning of '91. It's a pretty short lived war there as far as that goes, and that was while I was prior to that. So then by the time 9/11 happened and all that stuff, I was already kind of working my way out as far as the family goes. So didn't see as much action, if you will, as some of my friends, close friends that stayed in for 20, 30 years and all of what they did. But and that ends up being kind of the challenge, is you like, especially during that time, talk about the array of different feelings that come about, and letting down teammates and things like that. That's a whole different story. Even being in is one level of stress, and then getting out under the circumstances I did was on a whole nother level of stress, and it had already kind of the turmoil in my family and relationships and all that stuff. I gave the best physical years of my life to the military, and it definitely left some mental scars, PTSD wise, and some things like that were challenged, trying to blend in with being a cop and and running a business and sitting down and talking to people and stuff. It's a different world. The military is, especially a specialized unit. So I wouldn't trade that time for anything, because of what I gained as far as the camaraderie, the knowledge base, the drive, the determination. It was the ultimate test for what I had been training since I was young in the martial arts, but not without a cost. The family and the relationships, and the blending back in, and what that does. It's hard to put into words, really.
No, I could definitely agree to that. And a lot of that goes to I could relate to that as my past too. A lot of flaws and things that happen with family members that should still be here, and things that shouldn't have happened that did happen. So I do understand it. What year did Guam happen?
Oh, gee, let's see. I deployed to Guam it was 90, would have been 95, 96, and then
Okay.
again in 97, 98. Give or take 6 months.
Yeah.
Plus or minus.
Okay. And then your second deployment, where was that at?
That would have been to same kind of gig.
Okay.
As
Same
far
gig.
as that.
So just
that
two
goes.
deployments to Guam.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you said you went to Hawaii?
Yeah, I was stationed in Hawaii the first year in the military, and then we traveled back there regularly.
So you did diving in Hawaii, diving in Guam.
Yeah.
Of the two, which is better?
Man, I think there's more dive sites or opportunities in Hawaii.
Okay.
But there was some amazing dives in Guam as well. Some of which were on base, so that might not be the best thing. But man, so much has changed since I've been, to Guam. I've been back to Hawaii several times, and I probably have dove gone diving in Hawaii more times than Guam. So I'm a little more Hawaii favored, if
Yeah.
you will. Yeah.
Okay. What was the hardest part of Buds for you? Was it the end of everybody talks about, like the swim part, the swim test?
I don't think there's too many things that don't challenge you to a knuckle drag, bloody knuckle kind of, push, mentality. Hell Week was tough, but I will tell you, I don't think it was the toughest part of Buds. I think the toughest part of Buds, for me and probably many team guys if they're cracking down and really getting into like the nitty gritty of what was the toughest, was probably pool comprehension, pool comp.
Mm-hmm.
Pool comp is when you're kind of testing out of the scuba right before you get to the drag or the rebreather, the bubbleless rebreather. And that's where in pool comprehension they start to train you on where they rough you up. They have you seen any videos on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's if you're familiar. If you're not familiar, go in and search pool comprehension on YouTube, and you'll get your heart's content. But that by far was probably more mentally challenging than anything. Yeah, it sucks being cold and all that, and wet and sandy and shivering and borderline pneumonia at any given time, but you just got to be, everybody in there's tough. I mean, you know what I mean? And so the mental aspect of getting hit by the instructors with ripping your mask off and pushing you down there, and you just kind of have to just go with it, right? And they're messing you up pretty bad, and then you got to go through a process to fix yourself back up so that you can keep on going. And if you mess up that process, it has to be exactly in order. And if you have to be deliberate with it too, because if they don't see you do something, even if you do it, but they don't see it, they'll fail you on that, and then you have to. I think you only get two chances to pass. Once you fail pool comprehension, pool comp, you get one more chance to retest. And I failed the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could swear up and down that I did the process correctly, but you're not going to argue with the instructor who's telling you no, you missed a step, and you're like, heck, go on, you're not going to argue with them. And so that's really nerve-wracking. And then you have to go the whole weekend anticipating then retesting it on Monday, and you're going back, you and whoever else failed, going back into it. So even
practice
though
with anybody on the weekend?
no, you can't really.
There's no way to practice.
You can't really practice that, which is bizarre. But you live through it back in your mind and all that stuff, man. I can tell you, failing is challenging. You don't want to fail anything in there. But despite failing pool comp, it's pass or fail. I still managed to get honor man out of SEAL training, and not a real big deal for most people, except the honor man that actually gets it, because overall you get the highest score. Everything's kind of scored, if you will. You get the high, timed runs, swims, everything, and so that's the highest average test taking. For dive phase, you gotta be able to calculate certain dive times and things like that. So your highest average overall, and there was one other guy. I think I might have beat him by like 0.3 of a percentage, and that's how I squeezed through and got honor man through SEAL training. So, yeah, man.
How many people you think got dropped out of the class?
Let's see. I think that we originally kind of started with around 160-ish. I think we actually classed up with about, it was in the 136 maybe, 136 guys. Coming out, I think that coming out of Hell Week, we only had 18 originals.
Wow.
So we continued on into dive phase with 36 guys, but those out of it was half the class that was a rollback that had made it through Hell Week that joined back up with us to go back through dive phase for whatever reason they had gotten rolled. It could have been an injury, it could have been test taking or whatever, but they got rolled back to our class and then continued on with us. So out of 136. Let's say, might be off on that number in class 195, but out of 136 that started with us, 18 of those guys, originals, actually made it through Hell Week. I don't think we lost anybody through dive phase, even though it's the hardest part of training. Once you kind of get through that Hell Week part, you're willing to do about anything, including die, to get through the rest of that training, which is a whole nother level of just mental, physical capabilities, and that does something to a guy. It does something to you, and that's why that sense of camaraderie and that team atmosphere is so important to us afterwards. The stuff that you go through to get to where you are is it's mind-boggling to most people, but that's why they say in the SEAL teams, just another day, right? Easy day.
That's awesome. I love that. So you ended up on SEAL Team 1. Was there any other SEAL team that you were hoping to get on?
If I would have stayed in, I would have liked to screen for Dev Group, which is SEAL Team 6 or Development Group.
Yep. Okay.
I always kind of had in the back of my mind of trying to get to the best position to be the highest level operator or whatever, and I think I would have made it to go there, but of course God had a different plan for me by giving me a couple kids that I was responsible for, and I wanted to be a good dad, like my dad was to me, who had just passed away, and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a tough decision to get out and not try to positively screen for Dev Group, but that would have been the goal.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do your kids do now?
My youngest son, probably the smartest, so my wife now, who I've been married to, we just had our 23rd anniversary.
Nice, congratulations.
Marriage, and so we actually met in '98, and so she was probably very grateful that I did end up getting out of the military, knowing all the scars and everything from the last relationship and yada yada yada. But we are the makeshift Brady Bunch. I have 2 boys from a previous marriage, and she has 2 boys from a previous marriage. So growing up, we had 4 boys in the house, and it was madness. It was good though. So when you say, what do my boys do now, I think of all 4 of those guys as my boys. So my youngest, my 2 boys, were the younger 2. The younger 2 ended up going in the military. So
Very nice.
The youngest, probably the smartest out of all of us, actually is still in the Army. He actually went in as an air traffic controller, and the reason why I say he's the smartest because it's actually a job that translates into the civilian world, and you can actually work and do quite well as an air traffic controller, getting out. SEAL team doesn't translate so well into getting out and getting paid unless you're going to do the same kind of work, contract work or whatever, always being in not a real family friendly job description. And then my other son was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. He got out, and he actually just moved out this way from San Diego and bought his first house.
Very nice. So he was in San Diego?
Yep, was in San Diego, and now I think he's trying to figure out what he wants to do when he grows up, now. So he's going to school and taking advantage of the GI Bill and
Nice.
And going to college and doing some of that stuff. And then the older 2, they one of them is a electrician. He works on large electronic like supercomputer type stuff, but he does the mechanical arm engineer stuff. And the other one is in the kind of the construction industry. He's very, very talented with his construction stuff and everything, kind of in line with kind of what I do as far as the rehabs go.
At the brand new Meineke on W.T. Harris in Charlotte, we're excited to bring a fresh level of care, convenience, and customer commitment to the community. Our team is here to keep your car running in tip-top shape with everything from routine maintenance to expert repairs, all delivered with fast, friendly service that puts your satisfaction first. Because at Meineke, your happiness isn't just our goal, it's our guarantee. Stop by today and experience the newest name in Charlotte car care.
Okay. So does any of your children help you out with your businesses?
There hasn't been a big transition from where they are into what I do.
Okay.
Because of what they had going on prior. But the oldest one is probably the closest to being in a position where he can actually work with me now that we've moved operations from San Diego County now out here. I've been working on putting all of the necessary team players together to be able to do it. And what we do now is land development and acquisitions. So, we're doing primarily apartment acquisitions to hold for rental income. But I've split the real estate business into 2. There's the buy and hold for the acquisitions, and then there's the buy and sell, which creates the cash flow from buying and selling. So we'll do the renovations on single-family homes to multifamily properties. Usually those are in a state that they're either vacant or significantly dysfunctional. And we'll rehab those, get them back up online, stabilize them, and then sell them to other investors. And then that's cash generated to be able to invest into buy and hold properties. And then the land development side of things, there's smaller projects where we'll take, 5-10 acres, subdivide it, and sell lots off, and residential lots off to smaller builders. Mm-hmm. And or little larger projects that might be more acreage, 20-30 acres, something like that, or you could subdivide that. Or what we like to do is apartment development as far as that goes. So most recent project we did on the bigger side of things was in Lancaster, South Carolina, and we took a 21.8 acre parcel, and we were able to put 250 apartment units on that. We haven't broke ground on it, but on paper, from a civil engineering side and everything, we changed the zoning and annexed it into the city, and then did all the paperwork to be able to entitle it for 250 apartment units.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so the plan was on that one, because normally what I do is I sell that to a bigger, the builder developer that will come in and actually build that project up, and they do what they do with it. This one I was planning to stay in on it, JV with a group that we were going to build it together, and then keep ownership on it. But the interest rates didn't help, so that project's been on the back burner for about a year now. Just waiting to see kind of where interest rates end up laying and all that stuff. And if Trump has his way, which I kind of hope we get a drop in interest rates, we'll be sitting pretty good on that. So since then, I've got 2 other properties that I'm looking at kind of doing the same thing with. So may end up selling this one, and then kind of doing what I normally do on that and just liquidating it and moving on, and then doing the same thing to the other properties, maybe staying in on one or both of those. So
Nice.
yeah, fun stuff. I love real estate.
Does being a veteran help you with real estate?
What's that?
Does being a veteran help you with real estate? As far as benefits,
Yeah.
as far as government assistance.
So that's a loaded question.
Okay.
Because I would, from an investment side, no, not really.
Okay.
Okay, but from a homeowner side, yes, significantly. The VA benefits, being a veteran and taking advantage of the VA loan for your home is quite beneficial. 100% financing, best rates kind of thing, and if you live in your house for 2 years and then you see a large amount of equity and you sell it, you can take all of that tax free, and there's a strategy on being able to step that up. I did some of that coming up through the years, and it worked out very well with the VA loan. So yeah, there's a great benefit there. From the investment side of things, not so much.
Okay.
It's just it's business.
Okay.
Other than the mental discipline and the fortitude and all of that stuff that I learned coming up through the SEAL teams, applying it to business, that's huge, because land development can be quite challenging. In fact, a lot of the builder developers don't like that part of the business because of the risk that you're taking on, especially if there's annexation or zoning changes or some of that stuff. It can be quite risky. So I'm quite risk adverse.
No, I like that. That's and that's how you have to be in order to succeed. You gotta understand what's happening and kind of play life like chess.
Well, it's interesting though, because yes, you do all of that stuff, but not without setting yourself up for the highest level of success by being safe. In fact, being in the SEAL teams, your primary focus is safety. Safety for you, safety for everyone around you, looking out for your teammates and all of that stuff. And training, going over that stuff step by step until you know it like it's second nature, but in a safe environment. I mean, fast roping, rappelling, shooting, moving, all of those things are done in a way that is not just effective and quick, but safe. Safety's paramount. And so, if everybody goes home alive, that's good. So so don't think that I haven't applied that to the development side of my business. Being able to put safety measures in place to do certain levels of screening before we get in and spend a bunch of money to lose our tail.
That's good. I like how you compared the two. That's good. No, I like that. Do you have any hobbies besides work? It sounds like you're pretty pretty busy, man.
My hobbies have definitely changed over the years pretty significantly. I tried to keep plugged in, by diving and skydiving and doing some of those things. Business mentality kind of changes your perspective on some of those things, so you're a little less willing to take some of the risks, to doing that. But, rock climbing, hiking, those kinds of things, being outdoors. We ended up getting an RV back in 2020 when COVID happened. We were like, what are we gonna do? So we bought an RV and we ended up driving across the United States a few times. Nice. And kind of doing that. So hobbies are kind of spur of the moment, all that stuff. But hiking, mountain biking, those kinds of things are always on the front line of jumping in and doing some stuff. Trying to stay active, try not to get too out of shape, and staying as young as possible. And I think that's the secret to doing is staying active.
Definitely. What's your everyday carry? You carry?
Yeah, I have a BR9, which is just kind of a nice inexpensive 9mm that shoots well. Mm-hmm. I like the feel of it. That one is kind of my daily because you can treat it a little rough and all that. I also have a P228, the subcompact one. I actually had that one still from that was my backup weapon in the police department. Oh, wow. Because it fit the same magazine and shot the same rounds as the SIG 226, which was department carry. Okay. And so we actually had the 226 in the SEAL teams, so I was very familiar with that weapon, and that was an easy transition to doing that. But I do like to go shooting a lot. Don't shoot as much as I like to, and so I don't see shooting as like a hobby. I see shooting as like a mandatory, you got to get in there, put your time in and all that stuff. If you're going to carry a weapon, you need to train with it. Definitely. Otherwise, it's just a paperweight that somebody else can take away from you and use it against you if you don't know how to use it. So
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
So, have any plans for 2026?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna start a new business.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one.
Yeah. So now that we've got all the team players pretty much for the land development side of things, and we've got the contractors set up to be able to do a lot of the rehabs and everything. A lot of that stuff is kind of taking care of itself. There's systems in place and all that stuff, and so I can touch it, feel it, smell it, phone calls, all that stuff, and keep things going. One thing that in the 25 years that I've been doing rehab on houses and stuff that has been significant has been indoor air quality.
Okay.
The indoor air quality on houses is of utmost importance. Where you spend most of your time. It's your house. It's where your kids grow up. It's where you're growing old. It's all that stuff. And so there's certain systems in a house that keep the house from rotting and falling apart. And if it starts to fail in any one of those parts, you start to get leaks and you start to get things happening, and mold growth has been a significant issue in a lot of the properties that we end up going in and revitalizing, and it does a lot of damage. And so it's like, man, if these people could have just known what to look for and assessed these things early on, they could have fixed this, and their house would be they wouldn't have to sell it for pennies on the dollar and just to get out from underneath it, because otherwise it's going to kill them, right? Mm-hmm. And so because that's the other side of my business, right? Buying properties that need fix up. And so I think that we can help a lot of people if we go in and we start doing indoor air quality management. Mold completely deteriorates wood. Mold feeds off of it. And that's one aspect of indoor air quality that ends up being a big factor. So we're going to go in and do indoor air quality management.
Nice.
That's going to be
that's good. And that's going to, I mean, not only a business to generate income, but a business to help. Yeah. I feel like I have personally not heard of industries in this nature just because of people don't really care.
Right.
I go home.
Or they don't know.
Or they don't know.
Right.
I go home, like I'm not thinking about mold, or I'm not thinking about, my air quality or things like that, just because it's been a long day, or it's, I'm doing 1,000 other things. So I definitely think that would help. I'm interested.
Yeah. Well, just think about it like this. I mean, you guys are brainiacs when it comes to cars, right? And some people just drive the car, they don't know, and they're like, if they didn't know they needed to change their oil, if the oil light didn't come on, right? They wouldn't change the oil. They keep driving it until it freaking blew up on them, right?
Absolutely. You don't know how many cars we get into. I'm like, man, your steering wheel vibrating at 60. How'd you not know this? They're like, what do you mean? What is that? Is that my alignment? I'm like, come on.
Isn't that the road? Just tell me I should slow down, right?
So,
So you get
definitely.
it, right? So the same thing applies to the houses. If your systems in your house, your roof, your plumbing, your whatever is failing, you're going to have issues come up outside of what that ends up being, and it ends up, the sooner it can get caught, the better you're going to be. And most people, their home is the biggest asset, even though some people argue it's not really an asset because it takes all your money, right? You're feeding it. It does appreciate in value. So your home being most people's largest asset, you need to try to figure out how to take care of it like you would a car or your gun or whatever, right? And so that's what we're gonna do. But the beginning stages of that, we're gathering intelligence, getting licenses and certifications and all that stuff. Getting certain people identified to be able to scale that thing up.
It seems like a successful mission plan.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So and the most important part that I should add to that is, you said something there is you can help people with it. And so, when I'm looking at business models or whatever, I'm looking at it as an opportunity to be a blessing. I mean, trying to apply biblical principles to everything that I do, whether it's to get somebody saved and actually preach the word to somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And let them know, hey, there is a purpose, and you are here for a reason. Being able to use your business as a platform to help people. I mean, we have a business plan in place where 10% of those monies are going to go toward helping the people fix their houses that don't have the means to do it, because there are people out there who legitimately can't afford to do it.
Right.
So we're all going to help each other as far as that goes, God willing.
I love it. Well, Ty, I think we're running out of time here, brother. I appreciate it, man. It was awesome to have you again. And as you said, it was a blessing to even have you here. To be able to have you on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll have another episode together.
Awesome, man. Time flies.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it.